Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if this is your first time, I would like you to hit the subscribe button and don't forget to smash the notification bell so that whenever I post a new video you will get notified as soon as possible. So last week was a little bit slow for us. If you were in my channel, you would observe that last week was a little bit slow for us, but all the same we were able to cut some few pips in the market, and so we look forward seeing what this week has for us. All right, so let's quickly look at these first and then look at what this week really has for us so far as the market is concerned. All right, so let's start with the dollar index. So the last week, if you watch my analysis, I told you that I'm looking for higher prices in the dollar index. All right, we had a concept of the accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. All right, just as I said last week, December we saw accumulation. We saw accumulation, and next thing was manipulation, which is this direction. All right, so I was waiting for the distribution. All right, and which happened last week. All right, so I mean, if you watched my analysis, all right, I really predicted this move, and it's really happened exactly as that. All right, so going into this week, I'm expecting to see price retrace a little bit and then continue moving to the upside, because we are still in a bullish order flow. All right, so I wouldn't expect anything that higher prices in the dollar index. All right, so going into this week, I'm expecting price to retrace a little bit, which I don't really know. I can't really tell where the retracement is going to end. All right, it's going to depend on the price action of tomorrow and what is going to happen on Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, so latest by Wednesday I'll be able to know exactly where the retracement is going to end. All right, that is Wednesday New York session. That is where exactly I will know when exactly or where the retracement is going to end. Then we take it from there, expecting dollar index to continue its bullish run. All right, so that is it for the dollar index. Let's look at what is happening on AUDUSD. All right, so last week the AUDUSD was the only pair that really saved the week for us. Yes, we were able to catch some number of pips. So this was it. All right, we were able to catch 126 pips only on AUDUSD last week, and I mean it was good. All right, so if you really recognized risk management, or if you really managed your risk last week, you should end the week being profitable. All right, you should be profitable at the end of the week. All right, even though we made some losses, but the profit we made covered all the losses, and then I mean we made some profit too on top. So if you practice risk management, you shouldn't have any problem last week. All right, so that is it for AUDUSD. So last week we were expecting prices to move to the downside. All right, which is exactly that we're focusing on this low here, all right, for price to come and then clear all this liquidity, and it did exactly that. All right, price is still in a bearish run. Price is still in the bear. I'm still looking forward to see price still move further to the downside. All right, so going into next week, I'm expecting some little bit of retracement. All right, I'm seeing some fair value gap in here, and here. So I'm expecting that price will at least retrace a little bit up to fill at least 50% of the fair value gap, and then we see price continuing to the downside. All right, so going into next week, I'm really bearish on this pair. All right, I'm expecting price to retrace a little bit into this fair value gap, at least fill 50% of the fair value gap, and then we see price moving to the downside. All right, so that is my expectation going into next week so far as the AUDUSD is concerned. Let's look at what is happening on AUDJPY. So for AUDJPY, we are still bearish on this pair. We are still bearish on AUDJPY. So going into next week, I'm expecting that price is going to retrace a little bit into this order block. All right, at least it should come and then retest the low of this block we are seeing here. Is it either the low or the open? All right, I'm just going to be very observant as to how price is going to react. All right, then from there see a continuation to the downside, clearing these lows here. All right, but at the moment we've seen some equal lows, relatively equal lows being formed here. So I'm expecting that next week we see some little bit of retracement, and then we see price moving to the downside, clearing this low, and then as well as these lows too as well. All right, so going into next week, I'm bearish on the EURJPY as well. All right, let's look at what is happening on NZDJPY. Yes, so this pair too, if you could remember at the start of our trading here, that was 2 weeks ago, I anticipated this move. All right, yeah, so those on my Telegram channel would testify to this. I really anticipated this move, and it completed. That was last Friday. Yeah, so we were able to bag a total pips of 243 pips. All right, yes, we were able to bag 243 pips only on this pair. All right, I really anticipated this move in my previous analysis. All right, yeah, so you can check up in my channel playlist to find that very analysis. I think that will be my last two. All right, my last two analysis that I did. Yes, so I really anticipated this move to the downside, and it happened exactly as that, and for which I'm still bearish on this pair. All right, I'm also expecting that this pair will trade a little bit into this other block and continue moving to the downside. All right, so going into next week, I'm also bearish on the NZDJPY as well. All right, let's look at what is happening on CADJPY. Yeah, so for this pair too, last week I anticipated price moving to the downside. All right, for which currently it is really going through my direction. All right, it is really going through my direction. So going into next week, I'm really expecting to see a little bit of retracement. All right, I'm expecting to see a little bit of retracement and a continuation to the downside. Next week we have CAD news coming up. Yes, sorry, this week. Yeah, this week we have CAD news coming up. So I'm expecting the CAD news to bring in some aggressive move to the downside. Yeah, I'm really expecting a liquidity injection. All right, in as much as we've started moving to the downside, I'm really expecting that the CAD news, which is a high impact news, will drive price aggressively to the downside. All right, yeah, so my ultimate target is this low. All right, I'm expecting that price is going to clear this relatively equal lows down to this low. All right, yes, then from there we look at where price will move to next. All right, yeah, so this is my ultimate. All right, I'm really targeting 493 pips on this pair. Yeah, so that is my target. Yeah, I told you earlier, I don't entertain small pips in my trading. Yeah, so far as I'm trading on a higher time frame, I always target high number of pips. Yeah, so that is that for CADJPY. Let's look at what is happening on GBPJPY too. Yeah, so for GBPJPY, it is also in a bearish order flow. Yeah, it is also in a bearish order flow. All right, I'm really expecting price to come this low. All right, yes, by the moment we've seen some little bit of what retracement. All right, you've seen some little bit of retracement. Going into next week, I'll just look at how price is going to react. All right, find an entry, and I'll expect that price will move to the downside. All right, so I'm really bearish on this pair. All right, so just as you've seen, you saw price came to retest the low of this bearish candle here. Yeah, and then we saw a quick rejection to the downside. All right, yeah, so going into next week, I'm really expecting. Right, I'm really expecting that price is going to continue its movement to the downside, if not for anything, break this low, fill these imbalances, and then we see where price is going to move to. All right, so that is it for GBPJPY. Let's look at what is happening on EURJPY. Yeah, so for EURJPY, last week I was really expecting that price should at least retrace into this other block, but it didn't happen that way, right? That doesn't mean my setup has been invalidated. I'm still expecting, right? I'm still expecting price to retrace back into this other block, and then we see some continuation to the downside, clearing these relative equal low. All right, so that is my expectation on EURJPY going into next week. I'm really expecting to see some form of bearishness. All right, this is on the daily, so at least we have some 2-3 days seeing some bullishness, and from there we see some bearishness to the downside. All right, so that is my expectation, or that is my plan going into this week so far as the EURJPY is concerned. Let's look at what is happening on NZDUSD. Yeah, so I always tell you that NZDUSD and AUDUSD are positively correlated pairs. All right, yes, that means they move in the same direction. So my expectation on AUDUSD will be the same expectation on NZDUSD. All right, yeah. So last week, this is what happened. All right, first of all, we saw an accumulation, then we saw a manipulation clearing these highs, and then we saw a distribution to the downside. All right, yeah. So going into next week, I really expect to see some retracement. All right, I'm expecting to see some retracement to fill these imbalances into this other block, and then we see a move to the downside. All right, yeah. So that is going to be my expectation on NZDUSD going into this week. Yeah, that will be my expectation going into this week. So that is that for NZDUSD. Let's look at what is happening on USDCAD. All right, so USDCAD and the dollar index all move in the same direction. That is, they are positively correlated with pairs. All right, so this is what happened last week. Yes, I was actually expecting price to retrace a little bit to the downside, but it didn't happen that way. It just moved to the upside. All right, yeah. So going into this week, I'm expecting that price will retrace a little bit. All right, at least if not going anything at all into this bullish candle we are seeing here, and then the high of this bearish candle we are seeing here, before we see a move to the upside. Yeah, so that is my expectation on USDCAD going into this week. All right, yeah. So actually, that is that. All right, that is that for this week. These are what I'm really expecting going into this week. All right, so if you're not in my channel, I'll post the link in the description box below to join. All right, because most of the times I really tell my subscribers as to what they should do so far as these pairs are concerned. All right, yes, when it's time for entry, I'll just alert them by giving them signals in the channel. All right, yes. So if you are not part of my channel, I will urge you to check the description box below and then click on the link to join my channel. I mean, just as I always say, this year is going to be very, very good with a lot of opportunities. All right, in as much as January is that rough. All right, January is that rough. So far we've been able to accumulate 900 pips. All right, we've been able to accumulate 900 pips plus so far as the month of January is concerned, and even that is even a rough month. And look at the number of pips you've been able to accumulate. So that tells you what is coming. All right, so if you're not part of my channel, just know that you are missing out. All right, just know that you are really missing out. Just check the description box below and then click on the link to be part of my channel. All right, and let's all enjoy it so far as 2022 is concerned. All right, yeah. So that ends my weekly forecast for this week. All right, if you haven't subscribed, don't forget, please just do me that favor of hitting the subscribe button and smashing the notification bell. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll come your way again another time. I wish you all good luck and good trading.